On September 23rd, 2017, there will be a sign in the sky, which appeared in Revelation chapter 12. Many people thought that this was supposed to be a mid-tribulation uh, sign. In other words, after 3.5 years after the tribulation period has started, after the Antichrist has signed a peace deal for 7 years, in the midst of that deal, this sign was supposed to appear in the sky. Well, at least many people thought it. We have a software called Stellarium, and I have it, but I really didn't do an in-depth research yet. But as you see the lady, and you see the sun at her shoulder, and you see the moon at her feet, and then you see on the top, they got it counted out. You got 12 diadems. We got Mercury, Mars, and Venus as the planets. And then you have Jupiter, which begins to travel out, and it becomes and enters the into play. It enters the stream. I don't have it on this computer, but I have it on another computer where that happens November 20th, 2016. But what happens is, in December, I think it was 24th, 2016, it entered her womb. And it would be in her womb for 9 months. Now, there was something that happened at the UN. The UN voted, that's when Obama was still in office, and the UN voted against Israel for holding their property. And that was the exact same day. We had one of the pastors, I won't reveal his name on this episode, but in later episodes I will. He said that, while he was preaching before this happened, that something would happen around the time of Christmas Eve, because of the lady, because of Jupiter entering her womb. These are signs. It says in Genesis chapter 1, talks about God has made the sun and the moon and the stars for seasons, but he also made it for signals. And in Luke 21, it says that God has made it says that the sun, moon, and the stars will have signals in the last days. So what is happening here is that Jupiter will be in her womb for 42 weeks. Now I'm going to read Revelation chapter 12. It says, "And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head 12 stars. With child cried, travailing in birth, in pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven." I want to stop there, because that anomaly with the dragon will come. Matter of fact, I don't have the picture here, but there is a Google planet or Google space where they have blocked out a section, and people are wondering why that section's blocked out. So on September 20th, and that's a Wednesday, will be Rosh Hashanah, the eve of the 20th. And that will go all the way up to Friday, which will be the 22nd. And then on Sunday, which is actually the 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not. Yeah, well, anyway, I just noticed that the 23rd is the Saturday, I guess. I have to look at my own calendar, because this is Brother Daniels from watch of that day. Y'all should go over there. It's called Watch. I got to take off my glasses. Watchforthatday.org. So go over there and look at Daniel's work. And he was on my show a couple of years ago. But anyway, there's an equinox on Friday, the 22nd. Now, what I wanted y'all to look at is that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday falling into Sunday. Does that have any familiarity with y'all? Even strange things with the pyramids and space and astronomy, not astrology, astronomy. God said, and like I said earlier in the video, He just put signs in the sun, moon, and the stars. Didn't Jesus get laid to rest or crucified on the Wednesday morning, going into Thursday and Friday and Saturday, and then rose from the dead on Sunday morning? Doesn't this sign have any similarities to that? Because normally, I've been studying this thing for 20 years at least, off and on 20 years. I haven't been a solid 20 years like some of the other people. Some people have been studying Bible prophecy for 40 years. But Rosh Hashanah, the Feast of Trumpets, has always been on a Tuesday or Wednesday. One time it was on the Saturday. Maybe a few times it's been on the Saturday for the last 100 years, pretty sure. It's been on probably every day of the week, but for the majority of the time, since I've known, it's been on Tuesday and Wednesday. It's never been on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday type of time schedule. This is what it says: no man knows the day and hour. If you notice that the 20th all the way through the 22nd is a 2-day event. No one knows. That's the name of the Rosh Hashanah. No one knows the day and hour. So just keep your eye on this, because what makes the third day is a sign in Revelation chapter 12. And what is that sign? It's the story of the baby Jesus, the story of Jesus, the story of Jesus being called up to heaven. It's also a story of the church being called up to heaven. It uses the word harpazo. Harpazo means to snatch. So this is a rare anomaly to have, because I was thinking to myself, well, I'll say, if it's 2 days, then it won't have any reflection on the death, burial, and resurrection, those days that were in the summer, of course, Passover, first fruits, and unleavened bread, and not particularly in that order, but the resurrection of Jesus Christ, the death, burial, and resurrection, those 3 days from Wednesday to Sunday. Now, there's been debate on was he put in the tomb on Thursday, or was he put in the tomb on Wednesday? In other words, what 3 days was he in the tomb? Well, I believe that he was in the tomb Wednesday, very bright in the morning on Wednesday, or it could have been in the evening on Wednesday, and because in Israel, the evening time on Wednesday, going into Thursday, and then going into Friday, and then going into Saturday morning. But it would have to stretch all the way to Sunday morning, because he says, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I'll raise it up. So it has to be a literal 3 days. So it can start on the tip of Wednesday, going to Thursday, which will equal 1 day, and the tip of Friday going into Saturday, and then of course Sunday morning. So just keep that in mind, that thought in mind, that the death, burial, resurrection days of Jesus Christ match the Feast of Trumpets, sign of the woman, Revelations 12. Okay, so this is the treads and signs of the 2017. Now, what are we looking for here? We're looking for the day of the Lord. There's been a lot of study on this Revelation 12 sign. I believe that the Revelation 12 sign points to the day of the Lord, the very exact day of the Lord. Now, the Bible talks about in 1 Thessalonians 2, 2 Thessalonians 2, that the day of the Lord won't come unless they've fallen away first, and that man of sin be revealed, who exalted himself, goes into the temple and exalts himself as God. So the day of the Lord, people get that confused, that the Bible is actually saying that the day of the Lord won't come until he comes. And he goes through all of these things, but the rapture of the church won't come either. That's what they're saying. But then it talks about the restraining influence being taken out the way. Right here we have 4 blood moons, 4, 15, 14, all the way up to 9, 28, 15. And these 4 blood moons have signal the start of something. So I don't know if I picked the right one. This is from Brother Daniel's website once again. Watchforthatday.org. Go visit them. It's pretty good information over there. Well, once again, what intrigues me is the September 20th, 2017 to September 23rd, 2017, which will cover 3 days of Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection that happened in the spring feast rather than the fall feast. Now, the second coming will mimic the same thing, which the second coming is not the same thing as the coming for the church. Church, that's a separate event. Let me stretch this thing a little bit more. Hopefully it lets me do it. No, it's not letting me do it. It's already recording, but so keep that in mind. This sign is a heavenly sign, and it's pointing to the second coming of Jesus Christ of the church, and it's telling the story of the first coming to illustrate the fact that the second coming is on the horizon. And what we're going to talk about next is the Jubilee cycles that God told Noah in Genesis chapter 6, that there be 120 Jubilees. And he's also telling Noah at the same time that man's life will be 120. And he's also telling him that there will be 120 years left before God flood the earth. So God has set in the sun, moon, and the stars signals for us to understand the time that we're living in. And this right here has to correlate and correspond to the end of the Jubilee cycle of 120 that Noah talked about. And we'll cover that in a future video. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Not really all that detailed. I think a lot of good videos are out there already that's pretty much way more detailed than mine. But I just wanted to make it clear that we understand the times that we're in. And like I said before, we're not trying to guess the day and hour or even the month or year. But if God's word and God's warnings and God's seasons and timing shows us the time, then we're going to have to go with that. So God bless everybody out there, and see y'all in the next video.